Our next speaker, Sri Ramachandra Rodam. Ramachandra Rodam is a sadhak and a sevak. He serves as an administrator at Sanatana Siddhashram, Birbhum, West Bengal. This traditional center is dedicated to the practice of ancient world tradition and propagation comprises devotional poetry dedicated to the Divine Mother. He writes essays and articles related to Indian philosophy. He delivers lectures on subjects of yoga and Indian spirituality. Sri Ramachandra Rodam, may I invite him to speak about Fragrance of Shakti, a glimpse into Shakta World View.
The paper which I had said, I don't even want to call it paper because it was glimpse into Shakta World View and practice. This I wrote for myself. I was not under any pressure of doing PhD, dissertation, publishing it or giving it. It is unpublished one, even in that. And so I thought, okay, we are doing sadhana. Let me just, if we have to explain things to friends and people, I need to put it in a little more cohesive way. So what should I write? So that's how this came across. So before entering into reflecting about Bhagavati, now let me just share with you my current coordinates. I am from Hyderabad, brought up in Hyderabad. All wonderful childhood, younger days here only. And I can say it now on camera also, megastar Chiranjeevi is fan and all those things. Somewhere the deep spiritual longing will always be there. There is always a turn that happens. My inspiration from very early days have been somehow associated with Bhagavati, Supreme Goddess, and brought up under Sri Satya Sai Baba's fold. And I went to Puttaparthi, I keep going to Puttaparthi, I went to Puttaparthi for many years. Long story short, and that's where I did much about reflections on Sri Lalita Tripura Sundari, kept chanting Lalita Sahasranama and all of that. And then that connection kept becoming deeper, and Sri Aurobindo's philosophy played a very, very important role for me personally. And that is a very deep anchor that I have. And if we, nowadays the whole discussion is about traditional, non-traditional and all of that. From that way I look at it, I am very much deeply into traditional practice, but all my gurus are very, very don't fit into the traditional category, that sort of a thing. But if you look at them very keenly, they are also very much anchored in the ethos and the Shakti of Dharma. Now I am in a place called Birbhum, where I serve ancient bowl tradition. This is purely traditional, 100%. Like there is no modification to it for over 1,000 years or more. And this is a Bhakti, Yoga Bhakti tradition. I just flipped that word from Bhakti Yoga to Yoga Bhakti because in the traditional Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya or most of its reflections, there is no need for you to recognize the Atma Tattvam, Brahma Tattvam and all of that as your practice. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction in Gaudiya Vaishnavism has been to just contemplate on Krishna. Bhagavata Purana takes the precedence over everything else. So that's how, that is what is subscribed to by the vowels as well. But they have a very strong element of the yoga coming from the Sahajiya and the Nath Parampara. Many ancient Nath yogis are connected with the vowel Sampradaya. So there is a strong element of yoga. So there is a recognition of the Atma Tattvam, which becomes the foundation on which your devotion is built. And the meditation on Krishna and the Leela happens. But more importantly, Birbhum is a place of 5 Shakti Pitas. 5, not 1. Over and beyond them is a headquarters, what we call as the Siddha Pita, Ma Tara. Right? So, and then there is another Siddha Pita, much more ancient, Bakreshwar, Shivji Kai, even very, very powerful. Purely tantric. One is to say, tantra, very nice and all that. But when you visit those places, you need to have, ability to hold what those places are going to offer. Especially the Bakreshwar is a core Virachara. Virachara means the ideas of negotiation and all these things are not there. There is only one idea of confrontation. Anything, any difficulty. See, one is, you are sitting here and performance appraisal is going to happen soon in your offices, and then you will see that there are a number of people trying to scheme against you with the jealousy and all that. And then now I can sit and do the contemplation on the Atma Tattva. Right? No, everybody is divine, everybody is, no, that's not going to work. We have to deal with this direct. So there, they just go head on. This is the bhava. There is a tattva if you contemplate. That our dharma allows for all of this, by the way. Only this should be done, only that. No. Depends on your proclivities, your swabhava. Right? So, we are like that, Shaktas. So it just happens that way. So, as usual, when I started writing this, I wanted to write a little bit about historicity, which is the most boring part all the time. But we have to get to it. Because to touch the sense of historicity in any of the ancient tradition or parampara, of the Bharatiya parampara, is like you are definitely, inevitably going to get lost in the wild forest. And every tree is connected to another tree, maybe not at the foliage level, but at the deep-rooted level. So this is what happens with the Shakta parampara also. One can always start the story right away from the Vedic, Vedic days. You have Durga Sutta in the Veda. You have Medha Sutta in Veda. You have so many references to Bhagavati in Veda in its own way. You have Kavyakanta Ganapati Muni Garu reflecting on Uma Sahasram and the beautiful reflections on taking the core Kaula Shakta aspects and interpreting it through Vedic and Vedantic views. So, if somebody says, oh, patriarchy did not really allow goddess to come too much, so later only all this came, no. Vedic, and if at all there is a jargon called pre-Vedic, or I don't know all these things, but if there is something, it has been there. It has been there in our consciousness all the time. So it's a very, very complex, undercurrent and a deep-rooted system that you cannot put your finger and say this is where it has begun, this is where it has commenced from. But we broadly also see that the sense of Shakta identity coming more and more, as Pankaj also was reflecting on the Kashmiri Shaiva Siddhanta. One of the earliest sampradayas we see is that where the Shiva and Shakti are in union, and long story short, you have this Atimarga, you have where Pashupatas, you have Kapalikas. These are very, very early theistic Shaiva schools that have emerged. From there you have where Bhairavi and Bhairava come across, and from there the presence of the deity, this goddess starts becoming supreme. And this always happens. Whenever goddess starts appearing beside Shiva, she will just say little more space, and Shiva goes out of the picture. So this is a tendency of Bhagavati. That's what I tell many friends also. Oh, you are worshipping Bhagavati, then be ready for complete takeover. No negotiations. So you have many traditions that have come, the Shakta traditions that have emerged from there. So what happens in these traditions and these sampradayas is, first there is a need for, not so consciously, okay, now first we need to do this. But when we retrospectively look at what are the key features on this worldview, that establishing primacy of Shakti. How do you establish primacy of Shakti? Already referred to when we were listening to Vinay. Vinay was talking about Sri Krishna and Sri Rama, where the primacy is established, the Ishvara, the description of the Ishvara that came simple, the one who presides over Srishti Sthiti Laya. Right? So this has to be established even in Devi's case. So this is a very, very important aspect. So where Sri Ramakrishna himself, greatest Kaula, if we have to say, we always have a hangover of association only with the Vedanta, but his Shakti is that of Ma Kali, and the thunderous sound of Swami Vivekananda is that of Ma Kali. right? Instead of directly seeing where the Shakti is coming from, what is the point in analyzing, assessing the subtle and Sukshma? You can never reach Sukshma Tattva. Just see, no. Divine Master is mad about Ma Kali, and he infused that madness in his disciples. And there is no stop. Who can stop? Try, all the best. But, so, Sri Ramakrishna very clearly says, he is reflecting on Mahanirvana Tantra, says, when there were neither the creation nor the sun, the planets and the earth. And when darkness was enveloped in darkness, then the mother, the formless one, Mahakali, the great power, was one with Mahakala, the absolute. Right? Then, after the destruction of the universe, my divine mother, the embodiment of Brahman, gathers together the seeds for the next creation. After the creation, the primal power dwells in the universe itself, and she brings forth this phenomenal world and then pervades it. So this is reflecting upon mother, the textual parampara, reflecting upon the mother's primacy on Shruti, Sthiti and Laya. So it is essential to note that in this reflection, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa is bringing up Mahakala. This particular refrain about Devi becomes repeated, and it's constant all the time, that she is in union with Shiva, Paramashiva. She is with Shiva. So that is an extremely important meditation. But from here, how she becomes more and more primary, as that is what is the Shakta tendency, that you will see her as everything. If you compare this with the Kashmir Shaiva Siddhanta of what Pankaj was also reflecting, this the whole Shakti, whose Shakti, the divine power, is predominant in displaying creation, instinct with the concealment of his essential nature, is the cause of the manifestation of the universe. The two words beautifully used by Kashmir Shaiva Siddhanta is Unmesha Nimishotpanna, and this is in Sri Lalita Sahasranama, one of her names, I think the 282nd name. So what basically Unmesha Nimishotpanna Vipanna Bhuvanavalyai Namaha. And here the creation is not looked at as some sort of a linear model of somebody created something is being sustained and something is getting dissolved. So Unmesha and Nimisha is a process of concealment that itself is creation, which is what was used as a Sankocha in Pankaj's talk. So through Unmesha, she is concealing Shiva Tattva. Only when you conceal Shiva Tattva, this whole universe, this whole manifest world, you, me, our minds, our perceptions, our cognitive faculties, everything is nothing but her concealment of Shiva Tattva. And Nimesha is dissolution of this concealment and appearance of Shiva Tattva. So Unmesha and Nimisha. And this creation is not looked at as taking birth, genesis, sustaining. No, it is compared with blink of an eye. Right? There is closure, creation happens, the revelation, creation is gone. And another comparison that it happens with in the skies is like a flash in the sky and it's gone. Like a star flickering and it's gone. That is what this whole universe is about, of which we make a big deal. Forget contemplation of like this on the universe and the cosmos and things which are beyond our ken and comprehension. Look at our own life. It's just a blink. Comes and goes. This is the tattva, this is the essence. Of course, this is from the Kashmir Shaiva Siddhanta. The Kashmir Shaiva Siddhanta is known for very, very subtle reflections. But not all of us are subtle. Once this comes to Bengal, the whole taste shifts. Here it becomes more and more visceral in its expression. The next aspect of the primacy is to reflect upon the states of consciousness. So, the tradition that I am talking about is Shaktism. By now it's very clear for you. And the text that I am kind of referring to this travels across Pandakarika from the Trika Siddhanta, Trika Shaivism, and I am also referring to Sri Lalita Sahasranama and sometimes to Devi Mahatmya. So some of these overlay. And this is what I was referring to understand the Shakta perspective. So the next aspect of primacy, after talking about the Srishti Sthiti Laya, the primacy is talking about having primacy over states of consciousness. That is Jagrat, Swapna, Shushupti. And that is why she is called as, from the Srividya Parampara, she is called as Tripura, the one who presides over all three, one who is immanent of all three, one who is supporter of all three, and one who is transcending all three in Turiya Avastha. That is the Divine Mother. So this is another way of establishing primacy. Another way of establishing primacy, so in Tripura Rahasya, in Mahatmya Kanda, you will see this being described as the potency in the form of consciousness is such that it precedes the triad. The triad is the three avasthas that we have said. While she is called with the name Tripura, she is devoid of any name or description. Even though she has neither the beginning nor the middle or sustenance or the end, she always undergoes what we call creation by manifesting in the manifold forms, by relying on her own glory. In this, what they mean by relying on her own glory is, in Shaiva Siddhanta, there is this beautiful interplay that happens between Devi and Shiva. And Shiva is prompted to create, but he says, no, I am extremely blissful. Why are you even pushing me into this? And then further urge comes, the Ichcha comes to create and manifest. He says, no, the essence will be lost. So the negotiation is, if I take care that essence is not lost and you can fully manifest, would you then create? He says, okay, let's give it a shot. And that's where the Ichcha Shakti prompts Shiva, who is in his avastha, complete blissful state, who is Anuttara, to whom there is no further north, who is the Adi, and he plays into the creation. Where, as somebody was, it's a Leela, it's Krida, it's a Rasanandapti, where there is partaking of bliss in the process. And once this happens, the Gnana Shakti comes into the picture. Because Ichcha is there now to play. Now once Gnana Shakti comes into the picture, what does Gnana does first? For the play and the rasa to happen, there has to be the other. The other is starting to come into the picture. And when that moment, Shiva recites and says, oh my God, ye to baat nahi banne wali hai. This is going to be very disastrous. I'm going to lose the tattva. I'm going to lose the essence. And he says, I'm resigning from this job. And he goes into a state of absolute poise again. And this is called as Anashrita Shiva, or the Amrita Bija. And this is in the alphabets from A to Ha, in the first 16 syllables, you have these two alphabets, R, R. They hardly play any role in your language, if you observe. These are the alphabets that are associated with the Amrita Bija and Anashrita Shiva because he doesn't want to participate in anything. Whereas from A to until then, Gnana Shakti has managed to convince him, this is going to be fun. But here he is just taken back. Anashrita. He is in his poise of bliss, Amrita, bliss, absolute bliss. I don't know how Shiva does it. Every time he just gets into bliss and we keep trying and we just exactly end up in the opposite. And then again she pursues this matter and then she convinces him. And this is when the Kriya Shakti comes and she says, see how I am going to manifest. I will ensure that not even a single ounce of your tattva gets lost. No energy change. See, this is the contemplation we need to have. Is that because of this there is no inferiority of creation as opposed to the divine. Divine is immanent. this unbridgeable gulf that creation should not be worshipped because it is inferior. Only the Creator has to be worshipped. Such a diktat is the most disastrous for our contemplation. So the creation itself, the Kriya Shakti. Kriya Shakti has ensured that the Shiva Tattva and the Shiva's Divyatva is never lost in the process. And not lost means what? In every single avastha. Not just not lost, oh, this is also divine, that is, all that is platitudes, that's fine. In Swapna avastha, not lost. In Jagrita avastha, not lost. In Shushupta avastha, not lost. Because Turiya is holding it. Such is the sukshmata of this process. Right? That who can do, only our mother can. She is the one who is capable of doing it. She is the true magician. See, when this sort of an inevitability and indelible impression is there about mother, so it's very natural to leave everybody else and go to her own. Practically, she is running the show. This is the practicality that we come up with in the Shakta. Yeah, Shiva, Anashrita Shiva, bliss, can you understand? No, I cannot. Anuttara, who is transcendental, who is beyond, can you understand? No, I cannot understand. Turiya, which is beyond all three states, can you understand? अरे स्वप्ना ही मेरा confusion चलता है, जागृत तो पूरा ही confusion है मेरा life. अब मैं तुरिया क्या समझूं? तो किसके पास जाइए भाई? जो चलाते हैं शक्ति, the one who is running it, let me go to her feet. And Shaktas say, all that is fine, Shiva is there, she is standing on you. That's it. Just worship her. She is standing on you. Just worship her. That is our Ma Kali, no? That's why we go to her. Oh, she is standing on her. This is the true feminism. She is the one who is proving our point. This is what it is. No. Take him out, she cannot stand. He is the Adhara. He is the Adhara. Oh, you are saying he is Adhara, that means you are patriarchy. No, take her out. He cannot express. There is no question of expression. It's an undifferentiated state. You cannot separate both of them, and they are dancing every single movement in us. When are they dancing? You are inhaling, they are dancing. You are exhaling, they are dancing. Where do you put a stop and interruption to this? Tell me now. We are part of their dance. And what a blissful statement that is to meditate upon and live with that all through. When our traditions are giving such a blissful nature into us, they are infusing every second. They are even with such a contemplation, even your deepest of fears, phobias, insecurities are being divinized. If you have the gut to hold them in this meditation, if you have the gut to dedicate yourself to them and at their feet in this meditation. Teen avastha. So, that is the steps, primacy of our mother in all these things. Beyond, she is fantastic. Then what? Her primacy is over vak. Pankaj ji ने भी बताया था the vak of para, pashyanti, madhyama and vaikari. Right? This is an inspiration. You get an inspiration and you work from there. When an inspiration comes to you, it surfaces to your mind and it shows itself. And then you get totally hooked to it and enamored by it. Like how this program took place. It had to appear as a form of inspiration in somebody's mind. Whose mind it appeared? Anupama's mind. Right? She took a note. She said, I am going to start from here. In that moment of inspiration, there was so much in it already. That the hotels have to be booked, the logistics have to be taken care, mics have to be prepared, the dance and the choreography, in context with the presenter's presentation and the content. All of this is happening in one mind, where the inspiration has arrived. And that moment of inspiration carried all this detailing of all these minds sitting and listening and exchanging. All this played, this is vak. This is Pashyanti Buddhi, seeing intelligence. Intelligence that sees everything as a manifestation. It's over. That inspiration comes, manifestation has happened. Manifestation has happened. Now she just needs to pull the levers and gears. Now this is where the Shakti. How passionate are you of this? How mad are you of this? And of course, unless madness is there, we won't create. No? Mad. Yeah. So she agrees with this conclusion. Only madness. Then we bring this around. This is the entire sequence of inspiration arriving and showing up, and the detailing of the idea, the sthula sharira of the idea is seen, like, oh, this is how it appears, oh, this is how it appears, this is the space it's going to take place, this is how they are going to sit, this is the colors that's going to be there, and all of this is going to play out. And then finally the Vaikhari happens of this exchange and all of this. And this sets forth much more process. Now so many minds have consumed this, and then there is some process that's going on in you. And this is the process of mother's primacy over all these states of Vak. Right? So this is what Sri Aurobindo called it Pashyanti Buddhi, and where you are saying that seeing intelligence, where you are able to see the whole idea, how it is going to manifest. For that you need to have an adhara which is ready to translate this inspiration into a manifestation. For that adhara to be ready, we need to do sadhana. Just being mad is not enough. The sadhana element is there, which what it does is a full ring supreme chitta shuddhi. You take your chitta and do your sadhana and you put it in this, and dump it and keep taking it out till the time there is shuddhi, and it can hold all this inspiration and the power of inspiration with an exactitude and certitude and conviction. That is the level. At no moment, so many hassles. संकल्प है, विकल्प आ गया है, but संकल्प को नहीं छोड़ना है. सवाल ही नहीं है, chance ही नहीं. That is Shakti. That is mother pushing and pushing and pushing. No way of giving it up. Right? That's why the Virachara sadhaks, see this inevitability of mother. And bali nahi karna hai, don't do bali and all that. That's a different thing. Don't get into those nuanced things. And I have a great Uttara sadhaka. Rajarshi is here, who is a great inspiration for me personally. He is a better person and a better sadhaka to take this up. And you should take it up. And I'm actually provoking you that and listen nicely what will come out of it. And so I went like this only. I went to Virachara Sadhak and I said, Baba, Shatkarma, he's talking about Shatkarma. Shatkarma, if you don't know, you just Google or I'll tell them Maran, Uchchatan, Sthamban, ये सब कर देते हैं. They do all of these things. Full, it will be very, very, more entertaining than Bollywood. Imagine all that. But actually, when you are there, you will be out. So I was debating. I was trying to negotiate. I was trying to tell. See, you have to do all this when you have a sense of vindictiveness and overcoming your enemy and all of that. But I don't have. As soon as I was trying to tell, I don't see the need and all that. I was immediately seeing the hypocrisy of my mind. Seeing that I have so many obstacles in anything that I envision. If I want to envision a good work, there are 10 obstacles already standing their way. Acha karoge diva. Right? There is that. So this is where it is done, and he said that there is no question as whether this can be done or not. If you are a sadhaka of this stature, of this, you have to prove your caliber in doing this. You should be completely aware of it. It is like wearing a costume when you are going for a war, wearing a costume and when you are going into an operation theatre, like that. This is there. Where you will apply it comes from your wisdom and your sadhana. That is the power of discernment, viveka. That is where Shri Krishna comes into picture. That power of discernment, where to apply the force. So these are there. This is how the Shakta Parampara cultivates itself, commits itself at the feet of Divine Mother. So this is the third aspect of Vak, how she presides over Vak. Yet another way of establishing primacy all the time. See any of the traditions, take it Vaishnava, Shaiva, you will have to say that the ultimate deity over there is the source of Vedas. You have to say, because Vedas are very important for us, so we have to say, we have to infer this in order to establish this. In Vishnu, you will say, why Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara said everything, all that they did not spend so much time in writing their commentaries initially on any of the Brahma Sutras or Vedanta or anything like that. So they had to, their whole thing is, everything is in Bhagavad Purana. Why reflect on anything else? Eta also Krishna Tattva, you will get it from there. But suddenly they came across the practicality of one of the kings, the patronages. Sri Vaishnavas are writing this, Madhavas are writing this, or everybody is writing a Bhashya, Gaudiya, what are you people up to? What did you write about it? Then immediately Jiv Goswami, Rup Goswami बैठ के ऐसा just it is said in the legend कि 3 दिन में बैठ के टक in all Upanishad Bhashya, this, that, everything came out. Very prolific they are in that way because they are great scholars, superb scholars, everyone from that. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself was a terrific scholar at the end of it. So he told them Cheta Darpana Varjanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvighnam Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtana. That is enough. So they all did that, but suddenly when the externality came and they said, no, but you have to prove yourself in the societal hierarchy, how you interpret Upanishads and everything. They interpreted everything in the Krishna Tattva, top to bottom. Fir se Bhagavad Purana, put it on. Direct. So beautiful, terrific. It's not just about easy to use. Oh, misappropriation. Oh, this. No, karke to dikhao. Take 2 lines. No, forget the whole scripture and interpret it in your own philosophy. That's what they did it. So, coming to the Divine Mother, Jata Veda says Sunavama Soma Bharati Yato Nidahati Veda Sanaf Parashadati Durgani Vishwan Aveva Sindhum Duritathyagni Tam Agni Varnam Tapasa Jvalantim Vairochanim Karma Paleshu Jushtam Durgam Devi Gum Sharanamaham Prabhate Sutara Sitara Senama Agni Tvam Parayanavyo Asman Swasti Grati Durgani Vishwaha Pushchva Prithvi Bahulana Urvi Bhavato Kaya Tanayaya Shayo Vishwanino Durga Jata Veda Siddhinanavati Duritati Parisha. She has been compared with Jata Vedas. Now, if you technically look at it, Jata Vedas is an invocation to the Agni in the Vedas. So there is Mahanarayana Upanishad, a combination of this, and there is a synthesis of it, and that's where this suttam comes from. Now, this is an important primal suttam for Shaktas, because they have interpreted the Agni, Jata Vedas, of the Veda as nothing but Vairochani, Karma Padeshu Jushtam, as the Divine Mother herself. She is the what now? You need to understand the Yagna process and the Homa process to understand. When you start sitting for the Homa and the Yagna, first thing what you do is the Agni Karma, Agni Samskara you will do. What are you doing? Generally in its prakritic form, any of the element is not very affiliated to fulfill your sankalpa. You need to first invoke, transfigure, transform that. And this is all not done with your manasa puja. Ma Agni, tum na mujhe favor kar do. Hone na, you are siddha or what? That vak aa gaya tumhare man se ki ho jaye. You will be burned to ashes. So rituals are there. So extremely beautiful rituals are there where you are asking the Agni, the Krato, to become the Jata Veda. And that Agni in which once you have invoked and you have done the samskara, in which you are pouring your sankalpa and making the offering, she takes the Agni in the Divine Mother. She takes all your wishes and the sankalpa that you have for yourself and the collective to the divinities, and that gets a response. And you think by doing the ritual, because you know the ritual mantra, you know mantra, so you are taking that and you are telling and you are reading all that mantra and telling the Agni that okay, now you become from this to this, from negative to positive. Ho jayega. What did you do? What is that you have achieved so far in terms of the sadhana of your commitment? बैठ के जप करो, do your अनुष्ठान, do your Nitya Anushtana, unbroken, uninterrupted Anushtana, then you will gain Shakti, और उस शक्ति का अवकाश अग्नि में दिख जाएगा. What is the true stature of your Shakti? Agni shows, and Agni doesn't pretend. There is no pretension of great words, no pretension of great perceptions. So she becomes the Jatavedis. So that is how the primacy is established. I'm like in 30% of my thing, I'm only left with 5 minutes. So that's what happens when we get into Divine Mother. Then nothing. But this is how the primacy is established in any of the paramparas, where the ultimate, the divinity is shown as a source. So, how to do practice in this, I think we have also discussed all the aspects of the Anushtana within this, the ritual. It's a very, very, like for how Krishna is, or Vishnu is Alankara Priya, Shiva is Abhisheka Priya, Mother is Bali Priya. And you want to say, oh, Bali Priya. Oh, we have to sacrifice our inner something. All the best, sacrificing all inner things. I don't know what those inner are, but she very clearly says what is this. She is also the Homa Priya. She is also, Homa and the sacrificial offering is needed. And Upasana Paddhati is very strict. Extremely strict, very demanding. Very, very demanding. Krishna ji itna nahi kheenchte hai. He will not do that, but he puts demand by his attraction. That you are so attracted to him that once you are caught in his web, you cannot see anything else. And you will be telling him, I need to do this. He says, no, only attend to me all the time. That is how he goes about. And Mother, even if you miss one homa you miss, she will come and spank immediately. She asks you to be absolutely committed to her. Like if some of you are dancers, you give up your practice for a few days, then you will understand how many missteps happen. Your mind-body alignment is completely gone for toss. Right? So that is what Nitya Anushtana. So this culture, this civilization, these great texts, these great insights are not an outpouring of some sort of utopic time pass reflections. They have all manifested in a space, in a mental space which was vibrant by this Nitya Anushtana. Without that, no scope, no way we are going to head forward. We keep tapping, oh great this we built, great that we built, great all those things we have done. All that is great, but can we go back and retrieve or manifest that the current world is nowhere in resonance with any of the greatness of antiquity? But what is that one thing that we have in us still that we can, is Anushtana Bala. Through the Anushtana Bala, you build up your Atma Bala. Through Atma Bala, you build up your Viveka. Through your Viveka and discernment, you know what is you and what is the other, and where you need to step and how to realize what is your own tradition, your own civilization, and how to conduct it. How to conduct it. Conducting the tradition is the most courageous act. Know this. There is no two thoughts about it. It's not an easy thing because so much has to happen in order to manifest Shakti. Otherwise what happens is you keep conducting without Shakti, then it becomes hollow, then there is no result out of it, and then more people will draw easy evidence who do not want to do traditional practice. They'll simply say, nothing has happened, why should we do it? So you will have to take this up here. So that is what, how do you take this up? I will tell, go to the Divine Mother, pray to her to give Shakti, and she will grant Shakti to take this up. And the Kakatiyas went to Bhadrakali, Shivaji went to Bhavani. Lord Rama prayed to the Divine Mother. In Mahabharata, Arjuna prayed to Ma Durga. It is a battlefield. Kurukshetra is 24/7 incessant. To really cloak it in some sort of a nice vanilla spirituality is not going to work. You need to really understand this. There is competition, there is a factors of jealousy, shed ritus of yourself affecting others and others affecting you. In that, by making any deduction about the Atma Tattva is not going to help you navigate this. But Atma Tattva is the most Sukshma Tattva. Once it starts permeating your consciousness, then the Viveka that it can grant is something superior, far superior. And in that journey also Divine Mother can help you. So, you need to go to her, you need to understand the kingdoms after the kingdoms have prayed to her, and they have held the base for the tradition and civilization. And we need to pray to her because even the freedom fighters of the law have invoked her as Ma Bharati. And Ma Bharati, you look at the actual iconography, is nothing but Ma Durga in every sense. And Durga, we need to go to her feet and pray to her. If we do not have that personal connection, she has nothing incumbent on her to even care for our destiny as a civilization or a collective or as an individual. Is this transactional? God has to be ever giving? No, that's all nonsense. You prove your commitment, then you figure it. This has to be the case. And Ma Durga, I will just take 1 minute of conclusion. Devi is a battle warrior. She is that. That's the reason every single kingdom went to her. You take up the history and civilization. She is a great tapasvi. After the Dakshayagna and the Sati's incident, she went into the forest and meditated on Shiva in a way that she did not go into the forest. She just went into a topography, there was nothing, and she planted the trees over there, the saplings, and she did tapasya till there was a wide forest all around her. Yoginis serve her. We are not even capable of attracting Yoginis' attention. Forget Ma Devi. Shiva. And she is the mother. At the end of the day, in the nine months of the journey that we go through in mother's womb, mother is so engrossed in feeding herself so that we get fed in her womb. Taking care that she doesn't misstep so that we are safe in her womb. Taking care that she is eating the right stuff and she is not watching the stressful things so that we feel extremely calm in her womb. Yet when the time of the delivery comes, she is super anxious that how the child is going to come out. The one who is feeding and taking care of us and who is in complete control of our well-being still is not in control of what would be the outcome of us. But Jagannatha is 108% sure what will be the outcome. So she is the one who has drafted and scripted the karma and found us the yoni and the womb where we will take birth to journey and experience life, sukha and dukkha, with great level of conviction if we have clarity through our sadhana. So Jagannatha is always there with us. So on that note, I pray to the